Hello, my name is Nathan and welcome to our video presentation. For this segment of the presentation, I'm going to discuss the child and infant mortality rates of Indigenous people as compared to non-Indigenous people, and some of the reasons why this gap in disparity. Firstly, I'd like to draw your attention to these two graphs to my left, where as you can see from these, the overall mortality rates for infants and children under the age of 5 have decreased significantly over the last 50 years, from around 10 deaths per 1,000 births in the 1980s to 3.3 deaths as of 2017. You can also observe a very similar change in children under the age of 5 within these timeframes as well. While these are some great changes in mortality rates, however, onto the topic point, if you look closer and break it down into Indigenous and non-Indigenous people, you'll find a significant gap separating the two. If you observe the graph over here, you can see noticeable differences in the mortality rates of Indigenous to non-Indigenous people. While this gap has narrowed by around 84%, and the mortality rate of Indigenous people is more than halved from 1998 from 2015, from 13.5 to 6.3 respectively, Indigenous mortality was still around 2 times that of non-Indigenous people, and current figures from the Australian Bureau of Statistics from 2015 to 2017 show a 6.2 compared to 3.1 deaths per 1,000 births. Mortality rate in children under 5 had a very similar trend from 1998 to 2015. Indigenous child mortality dropped 33% and narrowed the gap with non-Indigenous child deaths by 31%. However, there is still a twofold difference between them, with current figures showing 146 deaths compared to 70. So why such a noticeable difference in the rate of mortality? In infants, birth-related issues were 40% of the gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous infants, and was the most common cause of infant mortality. This included birth trauma, fetal growth disorders, and complications of pregnancy. In children under the age of 5, however, accidents and injuries accounted for half the child mortality rates. In Indigenous children, where injury rates are 4 times higher than that of non-Indigenous children. So that brings us to the end of this brief overview of infant and child mortality, comparing Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. I would like now to pass over to our next speaker. I thank you for your time.
Hello, my dear friends. I'm going to talk about the Start to Life program, and I believe this program is going to decrease the mortality rate of Indigenous children. The Australian government's Better Start to Life approach is a funding program targets the health of Indigenous mothers and babies, and in turn to help Indigenous children have given the best possible start point of their life. The program is sites-based. In 2018, there are around 136 sites all over Australia. The funding program is funded by Australian government. The investment was around 94 million Australian dollars. The aim of the program, Better Start to Life funding, is targeted at delivering long-term improvements in health, education, and employment for Indigenous Australians. The government is committed to closing the gap by ending the cycle of disadvantage, which starts with poor child health. The funding program focusing on the critical early years means Indigenous children will get a more positive foundation for their life. The main funding source came from the government. Between 2014 and 2015, the investment in total was around 94 million Australian dollars. There are 2 subsections of this program, New Directions and ANFP. $54 million was invested to the New Directions, and $40 million was invested to ANFP. The New Direction program. Now I'm going to talk about the New Direction program. The program aims to increase access to child and maternal health care for Indigenous people and their families. It provides Indigenous children and mothers with access to antenatal care, standard information about baby care, practical advice and assistance with breastfeeding, nutrition, parenting, monitoring of developmental milestones, immunization status, and infections, health checks for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children before starting school. That's all. Thank you, guys.
My name's Emma. I'm a nurse home visitor with the Australian Nurse Family Partnership Program. So the Australian Nurse Family Partnership Program, or ANFPP, is a program that's run Australia-wide. We work with first-time mums who are having an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander baby, picking them up in pregnancy and then seeing them until the child's 2 years of age.
So we provide education and support for the nurses to make sure it's culturally safe and sensitive for our clients and their families. I just love the fact that these girls let us share their journey into motherhood. We get to walk alongside them and watch them grow, and they bloom.
Nearly up to 50% of our babies are identifying as Aboriginal, so that cultural support is just so important.
The Australian Nurse Family Partnership Program is a component of the Better Start to Life initiative. The ANFPP is an evidence-based nurse home visiting program for mothers who are pregnant with an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander baby. This program has helped to improve outcomes in pregnancy, child health and development, and parental life costs. So how does it work? Nurses volunteer for about 2 years. They go into the community and attach to Indigenous families. They build a relationship with the pregnant mother until childhood. The ANFPP is guided by 5 client-centered principles. The first one is following the client's desire. Nurses discover what client desires the most and base decisions around that. And the second principle is you're an expert of your own life. Information is gotten directly from mother as she's an expert in her culture. This is helped to take care of the baby. The third principle is focus on solutions. Instead of dwelling on problems that are difficult to overcome, the focus is shifted to identifying opportunities for improvement. The fourth principle is focus on strengths. Nurse-home visitors draw mothers' attention to strengths. This helps the mom identify solutions to problems. And the last principle is only a small change is necessary. By setting small, achievable goals, the client discovers that she can actually make changes and develop herself. And all this helps to grow, to help baby develop, and to reduce child mortality.
As the program expands, there continues to be new and existing challenges and areas for improvement. On the one hand, the program has been extremely successful in the quality of care it has provided for patients, with consistently positive feedback from graduates of the program. However, enrollment and retainment remains an issue within the program that has so far kept the AFNPP from reaching its full potential. First, the successes. The program has made small gains in the reduction of premature and low weight births. A baby's birth weight is a key indicator of infant health and a determinant of a baby's chances of survival and health later in life. Similarly, preterm birth is associated with a higher risk of adverse neonatal outcomes. The program has seen a 1% fall in the rate of premature and low-weight births. This may seem insignificant, but the rate of preterm births for Indigenous Australians is 13% compared to 8% for non-Indigenous Australians. Thus, 1% is actually an important milestone. What's harder to measure is the qualitative outcomes of the program, in creating a support network for mothers and providing education on parenting and healthy pregnancy. This program has had great feedback from participants and overwhelming support from the communities in which it's active. However, the program remains fairly small in its scope. In the National Annual Data Report of 2016, the ANFPP reported only 149 active clients for that year. There was a total of 18,537 Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander births that year, meaning the program was reaching just less than 1% of mothers. Furthermore, rates of participation and retention have in fact fallen slightly over previous years, with a cumulative retention rate of 37.8% for 2015, compared to a rate of 41.6% for 2014. The program is finding it difficult to produce quantitative measures of its success. In 2015, they were unable to find statistically significant evidence for things like reduction of smoking during pregnancy or improved immunization rates in newborns, which is likely due to their limited sample size. Going into the future, the ANFPP has 5 key objectives: increasing the enrollment of women before the 16th week of pregnancy, increasing the retention of clients within the program, increasing expected domain content delivery with relevant phases, increasing the visit completion rate, and increasing collaboration with local and national Indigenous smoking reduction programs. These are great goals. However, given the varying success of the program, whether these aims will be achieved remains unclear. Government initiatives like A Better Start to Life do make a difference and are vital in closing the gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous child mortality rates. As it stands, the ANFPP is a good program. However, it is limited in its scope, and with some key indicators actually falling from previous years, it is clear more must be done. Hopefully, as we begin to see the Indigenous community taking a more active role in the development of these programs, we will finally see some steady progress, and perhaps one day close the gap.